Number 4 seed Brian Voss defeating number 5 seed Jimmy Revesz for a chance to play the defending champion and number 3 seed Joe Cundy. And Cass, Rob says Joe Cundy for this match. What do you think?
Brian Voss has just shot 8 strikes for a 233 game. My money is kind of on him, I think.
You may just have lost that huge feed.
6-7-10 split from Brian Voss in frame number 1 is not going to help his cause. And Simon, the other thing that won't help his cause is that ladies in this tournament get 8 pins bonus, and that includes Joe Cundy, who's
these
already
wood lanes. Do suit the women's game as well, but Brian, not a power player, more of a stroke.
And here comes Joe, pride of England.
International player, Joe Cundy. Used to the attention of the television cameras, as his husband, Darren. Also been on TV on Sky Sports, also an England international player, so a real TV combo there, Posh and Becks of bowling.
And of course, we haven't mentioned she is the defending champion from this tournament from 2010. So 2 years in a row, and she's looking good. She's got the lead over Brian Voss.
Well, she'll enjoy that. Looking very strong to start with. And, looking to double it up. Just leaves a 10. But still not a bad shot from Cundy.
Yeah, nice reaction in the back end. Didn't quite drive through with as much power. And that's why that flat sixpence just laid in the gutter there. Leaves a hard straight ball across the lane. And Joe shows us exactly how to do that.
Yeah, the spares never quite as easy as they appear. With the 8-pin bonus as well. And I think that probably has settled any nerves that she might have. Straight through the head pin from Voss. We saw him do that towards the end of the last game against Jimmy Revesz.
Well, this is likely to be 2 open frames in a row. It's the 4-6-7 split after the 6-7-10 split. Open frame number 2 for Voss, and he's trailing now. He's going to have to make some adjustments here.
Got Brian Voss to the $1 million in earnings mark, the 7th man to achieve that on the PBA, and no surprise, doesn't take the American long to find his feet, as it were, in this second match.
Yes, better looking shot, better reaction. Gets the ball out on the lane. Holds the style, holds the follow through. And this one just rips right in between the 1 and the 3 pin. Away for his first strike, game number 2. Joe working on a spare, looking for another 10. And gets the reaction. The crowd absolutely love that one. A real crowd favourite here is Joe Cundy.
So strike, spare, strike in her first 3 frames. Can get a maximum of 280, but you remember you can add the 8 pins to that as well.
Yeah, Brian's got an awful lot of work to do to cover those 2 initial open frames. He's going to have to shoot 5, maybe 6 in a row just to get back into this. Joe leaves the 7 pin standing in the corner. Not the greatest reaction nicely.
Yeah, another very classy style to watch in this game. Has to take out a spare on the other side of the lane, but does so comfortably. And it's not easy, is it, Cass, coming across the oil to these spares?
Well, that's right. That's why she needs the hard spare ball. It will only go straight. I mean, when you go from a dry part of the lane, across the oil onto a wet part, and then back into a dry area, a reactive ball and hooking and then sliding again. So you have to be very accurate. A la Brian Voss, who rings a 10 pin in the corner for a pretty good looking shot, which could have been a double, to accept it and hope that not your luck changes, but perhaps your wheel of fortune changes. And Joe with a bonus. Brian really is up against it.
Oh, and again.
Well, rings another solid 10 pin, doesn't he?
Well, you really can't do much better than this. He is so consistent with his delivery style and his pattern of delivery into the pocket. Everything goes around the 10 pin, and not even Voss can stare it down.
Well, normally Voss he is the boss. But the 10 pin's having something to say. It's going to come back and bite your legs on occasion. And there you see, could have been 3 strikes in a row. Unfortunately, he's only got the 1. He really is up against it in this game.
Player she is, and particularly in these conditions, she really is a master And that's why she is the defending champion. So Cundy back up, looking to find the strike again, but no. There's a bit of hope for Voss.
Well, that shot just didn't get up, did it? Some rotation, but it gets snagged up in the lane oil there. Just makes the head pin. Misses the 2-pin, can't carry the 10-pin. And so it's a huge split. And she's trying to coax that ball up, isn't she? It just doesn't make it. You can tell by the 2-10 split is not the easiest in the world. And she too has to settle for an open frame.
Yeah, just had a little look down at the approach as she delivered this one.
Frame number 5.
So Cundy under a bit of pressure now. Looking for a strike here. Oh no, leaves 2 standing.
Again, it's light on the head pin. That first shot is not really working out for Joe. So this can only be a spare. Hard and straight, carries it away nicely.
Bit of a pressure ball this one. Needed to stay clean. Didn't want 2 open frames back to back. And had to do a bit of work here, but Joe Cundy does. 237 plus those 8 pins, her final maximum total. And that certainly brought Brian Voss back into this game.
Trailing by 11 pins at this particular time. Really does have to put some strikes together because he's running out of space. And again, leaves that ringing 10-pin on the right-hand side off of what seemed to be a perfect pocket hit. And that's 3 10-pins in a row he's left on. Brian's looking a bit...
So consistent, they are carbon copies, but it's the same result each time. Leaving the 10-pin, and that will get frustrating if this continues.
Well, it will do, because we're past the halfway stage. We've only got 4 frames to go. And Brian's only got the 1 strike so far. Managed 8 in his last game in the victory over Revez. Just cannot get those pins jumping around in this particular one against Joe Cundy.
He's had so much success on the PBA Tour over the many, many years he's played on it. That's better. Strike from Brian Voss. That'll take him back to his chair happy, but some success for some English boys recently out there on the PBA Tour, Cass.
Simon, it's fantastic what's going on in the States at the moment. Both Dominic Barrett and Stu Williams titles recently. Stu Williams, the first Englishman ever to win a title, followed up by a couple of days later with Dominic Barrett. So they're both PBA stars and stars of the future in the United States, I'm sure.
That is awesome.
But if she stays clean, I mean, that's okay. As long as she doesn't have another open frame and Voss doesn't run off the sheet with strikes all the way. Down to the last 3 frames already. Doesn't time go quick when you're enjoying yourself?
Desperate for a strike and desperate really to try and make it 2 or 3 in a row to shut Voss out. Oh, the 10-pin again.
Well, both players leaving that one in the corner, aren't they? As long as Joe keeps making the spares, Brian's going to have to do the striking. She can just spare her way through.
10 to leave.
It certainly is in this game, especially for Brian Voss. Simon, yes, you're quite right. It is the 10-pin off of a pocket hit. It's the angle that the ball goes into the 1-3 pocket. If it's not perfect and you don't get that great chain reaction, the 6-pin jumps around the 10-pin.
Brian Voss knows what the demand is. He's got to strike it off the card from here and apply pressure to the defending champion. Little change there from Voss with the feet. That's probably the furthest left he's been all tournament.
Behind, but he's just not putting the strikes together.
A comfortable spare then from the American. That is a rather checkered scorecard. But every single one, Cass, of those 9 spares in the show, he plays to win. But I'm afraid Brian Voss on the verge of exiting this tournament. And again, oh my goodness me, the bowling gods are smiling on Brian today.
Well, he's looking for this one, isn't he? It's the foundation frame, frame number 9. And again, he just cannot make it. And he knows this one is sliding very, very quickly.
Well, he's had plenty of practice bowling these single 10-pin spares. That's another one.
Again, could have been a strike. Just stay clean on these last couple of frames.
So Cundy not home and dry just yet, but that will help.
It certainly does. Yeah, she drops the 10-pin in frame number 9 for a strike. which gives her the opportunity to shoot another strike, first ball in the 10th, which will be the match winner. Look at that fantastic body language. She's really enjoying it. The game is all over. Done and dusted is Voss the boss.
No, he isn't. Not in this case. Joe Cundy cleans them out, and with it takes a very big scalp indeed. And it doesn't matter how much Brian Voss looks at the scoreboard above him, nothing is going to change. Joe Cundy, the defending champion, keeps her dreams of making it 2 in a row very much alive, and she's played really well in a very, very tricky match, Cass.
Absolutely, yeah, playing with one of the best players in the world. She's run 3 strikes in a row at the end. And the kids should be going crazy just about now.
Yes, indeed. Well done, Joe Cundy. Top marks, 204, not her best score. And she probably wouldn't have expected that one to be good enough to beat Brian Voss. But as we said, this has been a really tricky matchup. The condition definitely changing out there, and it's Cundy that has coped best. So Voss to sign off from this year's tournament. And my goodness me, Cass, as soon as the pressure drops, he decides to try something different, and bang, straight back in with a beautiful strike.
Yeah, just a slightly wider angle, right-hand side of the lane there. This time he puts it in the pocket yet again and carries all 10. How unusual is that? And he's saying to everybody, what do I have in the game to get strikes? I can leave 10 pins all day long. And he throws 2 strikes in a row.
Now this is the mark of a man. You've got a player here that has earned well over $1 million in his sport, playing professionally. He's a superstar, a legend, and he's having great fun with the crowd. They feel comfortable enough to shout a few things out to Brian. He just smiles it off and says goodbye with a 184. Look at that, finishes with 3 in a row. Where were they when he needed the legendary Brian Voss? But it doesn't get any easier for